And welcome to The One Show with Matt Baker.
And with Alex Jones. Now, tonight we have a guest who is a journalist and a broadcaster with a reputation for butting heads, locking horns with the big guns of politics.
He's Trouble Tony, grilled Gordon, given David the third degree. But there's one potential world leader who's always wanted to trump.
Well, shall we find out if he's managed it?
Let's do it.
Let's welcome Jeremy Paxman tonight. Evening, Jeremy. So, sir, you are back from Washington, D.C.
Yeah, and I can tell you exclusively, we did not get an interview with Donald Trump.
Oh, boo.
There are no votes in talking to a British audience, really.
Really? But obviously,
That's the long and
you
long
tried,
and short of it.
and no doubt you had questions ready. What would you have liked to have asked him?
Well, I think after what happened, after that very embarrassing tape the other day, I'd ask him, were you telling the truth when you said that you grabbed women's genitals? Because if he answers yes, it's hugely embarrassing. And if he answers no...
Why?
Then you're entitled to say, well, what else can't we believe about you? So I think it's quite a good question.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you make of him just palming it off then as locker room chat?
Well, I don't know. You obviously haven't.
it?
You must have been in some ladies' locker
I
rooms.
snuck into a few, Jeremy, of the other ones as well.
Have you?
No.
Oh, dear. Listen, we don't want to go down this line of questioning.
I don't think we
This is
do.
the last line of questioning we want to go down tonight.
I think perhaps we should be told.
No.
Well, I can tell you, I've been in a few locker rooms over the years, and I've never heard that sort of talk.
No. Did you stay up the early hours of this morning to watch the debacle
No,
unfold?
I watched the highlights.
Did you? OK, well, listen, tonight we're going to be talking about your new book, Life in Questions, a little bit later on, and we're going to be revisiting your old stomping ground, Cambridge University.
Oh, right, good.
And if you see a bloke over there, look, he's sketching away. Now, that is our resident one-show portrait artist called Adebanji. And we'll show you what he's been working on later. I know. We knew you would find it a bit unsettling, but it's going to be great.
So when you're not talking, just stare into the distance like that, and we'll get a beautiful profile of you before the end of the programme. But before all of that, motorbike gangs terrorising communities. Well, it sounds like a throwback to the 1960s, doesn't it? Not something that you'd expect to see in Britain today.
But up and down the country, mobs of bikers are making residents' lives a misery. And Nick has been to find out what can be done to stop them.
There's a motorised menace on our streets.
You've got motocross bikes, you've got quad bikes, you've got super bikes.
And communities around the country say they're being overrun.
There's 2 or 3 lads on the one bike. They ride them on the pavements. People don't want to come out of their houses.
It's not just noise, nuisance and run-of-the-mill antisocial behaviour. They've also been linked to robberies and gun crime.
I've come to the Woodchurch estate on the Wirral, just one of many areas being plagued by unregistered and illegally driven bikes. Sheila Bevington is a community worker.
How bad is the antisocial behaviour on this estate?
Very bad. People are really intimidated.
Like out of control bad?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Really? Have any lives been put at risk by what's been going on here?
Yes. We had an incident of a child playing out on the street and somebody come along on a motorbike on the pavement, nearly run him over. The father intervened. 2 cars pulled up with young lads in. They jumped out, beat him up.
So a father trying to protect his own son was beaten up for his trouble in front of his own house?
Oh yes, in front of his own children. Later on, the house got attacked. They threw stones.
The police say the attack was properly investigated, but those involved declined to give statements.
This is why people won't come forward, because they're frightened of what will happen.
Why are you coming forward?
I've lived on this estate all my life, and to me, it's my home, and I shouldn't be frightened to walk the streets.
But many here clearly do feel intimidated. This mum agreed to talk only if we didn't show her face.
You get scared to go out. You get worried about what your kids are seeing when they go out. You can't be found out to be reporting anything or trying to stop what they're doing, because they'll find out who you are and they'll find out where you live. It doesn't take much for them to do it.
But it seems amazing that you've got roaming gangs of kids running riot on an estate like this.
The way it feels to the people that live here, it's like we're a forgotten estate. We get ignored, we get forgotten.
And the Woodchurch estate is far from unique.
Police forces from South Wales to West Yorkshire have set up dedicated units to deal with the problem.
This is the police response, seizing and crushing bikes. Superintendent Jenny Sims says they're working hard to stop the yobs.
During the summer period, we've seized over 200 bikes, 100 of which were stolen. We've arrested nearly 100 people and we've conducted warrants at 50 premises right across Merseyside.
The youth who rode through this shopping centre was jailed for a year.
We are using every available resource possible to target these offenders and bring them to justice.
Although the police say they're working hard, the problem hasn't gone away. And for people here, the answer to nuisance bikes can't come soon enough.
But could this be part of a solution? This track was built to keep young riders off-road. It was hugely popular, with 2,000 members. It was set up to teach youngsters to ride responsibly by motocross instructor Graham Lee.
They'd learn how to maintain the bikes properly, what kit to wear, how to do it within their own ability, and it would all be done under supervision from me in a safe, controlled environment. It was brilliant, it was running lovely, and then it stopped.
Last year, Graham's lease on the land wasn't renewed, so the track had to shut. He thinks it's the wider community that's lost out.
It gives kids a focus and it gives them self-esteem. They come, they become part of a club, they learn new skills. This works, without a doubt this works. We just need a suitable piece of land and we can crack on, we'll do this.
But while Graham searches for a new site, the battle against nuisance bikers goes on.
Thank you very much, Nick. Now, A Life in Questions, we just had a little chat about it. In such a packed career, Jeremy, how do you start crafting a book then with all these different anecdotes? Because you say in the foreword you're not much of a diarist. You tried and failed really at that. So
well, if you live long enough and you try enough times, you get a decent diary out of it. You know, you get pages and pages and pages. I mean, it doesn't matter if you only last...
To March.
To March, April, on a good year, you know, and then get enough of those, you're fine.
Yeah. Shall we see a young Jeremy?
Go on.
Shall we just have a nice little picture of a young Jeremy? So this is 1963, there you are. We think maybe about 11 or 12?
Oh, something like that, yeah.
So there, I mean, a beautiful smile.
Yeah, funny years,
I haven't lost it, though, have you really, that lovely smile? No, but back then, Jeremy, looking at yourself there, what did you hope for the future then? What did you want to be?
Well, I rather hoped I wouldn't have to play football much longer.
Right.
But, because I used to get hacked quite a lot, because I was rather, as you can see, actually, I was quite tall and thin. And so I was a bit of a target. But, no, I don't know what I hoped. I've never really had an ambition. I've just done things that seemed interesting at the time, and I think I've been incredibly lucky. And the reason I wanted to write the book was because, you know, a lot of funny things happened.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, I met some amazing people, so... I don't think at that stage I really had an ambition, but I realised that looking back on life, of course, the problem is you've got to live it looking forwards, but you only understand it looking backwards.
Good point.
Looking backwards, I can see that, you know, it was... I love words and I love finding things out, so a career in journalism was a natural for me, but... and I'd have been absolutely hopeless at many other careers. In fact, I was turned down for every other job I applied for.
Well, you didn't get the first job at the BBC, did you? But
No, that's true.
not to,
True. They're
you know,
very
not to
wise,
put a
I
finer
think,
point
perhaps.
on it.
No,
Yeah.
go on, you gloat. You and your locker room anecdote.
Now, like most memoirs, you start off with your childhood and the schools you went to, and you write about the relationship with your dad, which has garnered quite a lot of press when people are talking about the book. That's a great picture there. How did you find the process then of going back and revisiting your childhood and writing about that time?
I found it... Actually, it didn't trouble me. I think one of the characteristics of childhood is, of course, that you appreciate things much more intensely as a child than you ever do as an adult, except going into a locker room, of course. But, but you know, you do appreciate them intensely. And you know, I had a bad relationship with my father, but then I'm not sure that my siblings had a much better relationship. That's for them to say, I think.
Yeah.
But I'm the one on the... this one nearest me, by the way, the one on the right of the picture. And then the one on the left became a diplomat, and the one in the middle, James, is ended up a conservationist.
All right.
Great
And so
picture.
looking back over this life of questions then,
Yes.
thinking about the line that you often take with your interviews, where do you think that comes from? Because you say you love words and all this, that and the other, but that kind of hard edge, that kind of no-nonsense, direct approach, what do you put that down
Look, there's
to?
no
Where does
difference
that come
between you, me, Alex, or anyone else in this room, and there's a great goodly crowd of people here. I don't know why they haven't got a job to do, but there we are. Anyway, there's no difference, really. The only difference is one of opportunity. And I think there's no special position that an interviewer or a journalist has. It's just, if you have an opportunity, you should damn well use it.
Yeah.
I think you're there on behalf of the citizen. If you ask a question, you should get an answer to it. And, everyone is schooled nowadays in how not to answer questions, and it's your job just to cut through that.
And there's many funny anecdotes, because you were saying you've met lots of people, and one of the people you have met and went for lunch with was the CEO of M&S at the time, Stuart Rose.
Yes.
Now, there was this big thing, wasn't there, because you weren't happy with the underpants that M&S were making at the time.
Who's that?
Well, that's just a picture to illustrate
Looks
that.
a bit like John Sushi.
I think Alex found it in the locker room.
But just tell us what happened, because that was a bizarre lunch, wasn't it?
It was a very bizarre lunch. I mean, I was foolish. It was rather Mr. Pooterish of me, I suppose, to complain about the quality of Marks and Sparks pants, which actually are no worse than any others. They're better than many, I think.
They wash well.
Well, I'm glad you washed them. Good. No, I mean, the problem, I conclude in the end, is that there actually isn't any intrinsic problem with any brand of underpants, except that in the same way as when you buy food, it says best before or eat by or something.
True.
The same should be true of pants. Because once they've gone... Do you know how old the pants are that you're wearing today?
I've got some... well, without thinking about it too much, yes.
Exactly. But, I mean, you don't know how old they are. And because you don't know, you see, the thing is that eventually they've gone through the wash enough times, they start getting a bit ropey. So
I'm just loving the fact here we are sitting on the One Show with Jeremy Paxman having an in-depth conversation about pants.
So I did write to Stuart Rose and said I was very worried about Marks and Sparks' reputation. But and he invited me to lunch, and throughout the course of lunch there would be a knock on the door, and in through it would come a man, a bit like that, but hairless. And we'd come in, he'd be wearing a pair of briefs or something, and then he'd come in wearing a thong, and then he'd come in wearing boxer shorts. Wow. And all the time, Stuart Rose having tremendous time saying, do feel the quality of the cotton.
We'll leave it there.
We'll have to move on. Novel experience.
We're already a minute over.
Well, that's
we'll
the
have
thing.
to move on.
The variety in the book is that.
Yeah.
Pants to politicians.
All will quite literally be revealed in A Life in Questions, which is out now.
Now, Jeremy might have been broadcasting for more than 40 years, but another broadcasting institution has got 26 years on you, Jeremy.
Yeah, we have given Lucy just 3 minutes to sum up 70 years of Woman's Hour.
I'm in Broadcasting House, about to be interviewed by a radio legend.
Hello, Jenny Murray welcoming you to Friday's edition of Woman's Hour. And we're joined by the One Show, Lucy Siegel. She joins me now to talk about slow fashion.
I was very much of the generation. In 1946, as women tried to adjust back into a role in the home, there was appetite for a radio show just for them. Originally presented by a man, the show didn't immediately hit the right note.
Well, I'd like to ask all the husbands round the table whether they think it's a good idea to have more than one wife.
That depends entirely on the sort of wife you've got already.
Thankfully, perhaps, a woman soon took over and the show began to tackle relevant topics, including the taboo.
I think this next item is going to make some of you very angry, but these two young people have chosen deliberately to cohabit rather than marry, and they give their reasons.
It's illegal, it's immoral, or it makes you...
A Woman's Hour, it's all jam, Jerusalem and genital warts. Sorry about the vulgarity at the end, but that does just about cover it.
In the 1970s, the show's topics still continued to push the boundaries, and the responsibility of hosting fell to Sue McGregor.
I was lucky enough to be sent to South Africa to interview Winnie Mandela. He was still very much in jail. She was banned.
And that was a famously charged interview because the house got raided while you were there.
Yes.
It was extremely difficult to explain to young children the presence of the security forces in their home.
She said to me, "You've gone quite white." And I said, "Well, yes, I was terrified." She gave me a big hug. "Don't worry, they do this to me every day and it doesn't bother me."
Tell me what it was like interviewing the Iron Lady.
Well, she came in and she was quite nervous. I was surprised. She did say to me, "Do you think they'll be able to tell our voices apart?" And I said, "Well, I expect so, Mrs. Thatcher."
You don't get to be a thriving, vigorous, enthusiastic country by saying to people, you make money and we'll tax you.
But here's a surprising fact. Out of almost 3.5 million weekly listeners, a third of them are men. Matt Smith is a football broadcaster and also an avid Woman's Hour listener. Why are you listening to my hour, Woman's Hour?
I do apologise. Although often they look for a woman's point of view to address a lot of topics, it's not done in a kind of uninclusive way for male listeners. No, what I find is, with obviously a family, which includes a wife and a daughter, that often later in the day when I see them, I bring up the topics that I've heard that maybe they haven't from the programme. Wow. And they either agree or disagree, but it forms a talking point, which is a mark of a good show.
So, Jenny, what do you think is responsible for Woman's Hour's enduring appeal?
I think because women are not one thing. They can like to cook, they don't like to cook, you know, huge range of interests. And we will reflect those interests.
And listen if you pick up the odd genital wart along the way.
Woman's Hour has become a national institution, and 70 years old, it is still going strong.
Well, a very happy birthday to Woman's Hour. 3.5 million viewers. Listeners even, not viewers. Because it's on the radio.
Now, throughout tonight's programme, Jeremy here has been sketched by our friend here. And it's now time to find out a little bit more about him, who, let's say, he's got a slightly gentler interviewing approach than Jeremy.
Now, here he is, sketching an actress whose own image has made headlines.
I'm Adebanji Alade, an artist who loves to sketch and paint every day. People's lives are etched onto their faces. When I see a face, I see a story. Drawing them means I can be part of their story. Today, I'm going to draw actress Leslie Ash. She starred in cult British classic Quadrophenia, became a household name for her role in award-winning Men Behaving Badly, and has had roles in prime-time dramas, but her career, especially in recent years, has at times been overshadowed by her appearance.
You've always been on show. I mean, this must have been ingrained in you.
The way we looked was always quite important to my mum. She was my #1 fan. The way the public saw me is basically how I was portrayed in the press. So I suppose I've been portrayed as being a bit silly, made a few mistakes. But to be honest, that's not me.
I want to find a way to paint her the way I see her.
Would you say the press, have they been kind with you?
Well, it's a strange thing being papped, as they say. In the beginning, you sort of wanted it to happen. It was actually quite glamorous when people came through Heathrow Airport and they had these big sort of coats on and their sunglasses, and you thought, oh, God, I want to be like that, you know. And then it sort of started in the 80s at paparazzi fever, and they became quite invasive. Pictures didn't always look nice. You know, they would always tend to want to get the picture where you didn't look very nice.
When I sketch someone and they're talking, there's something about what they're saying. It resonates, especially when they're very genuine about what they're saying. It's almost like the whole picture speaks to me. Would there ever be a time when you have looked into the mirror and you didn't like what you saw?
I have tried cosmetic surgery. I've messed up big time. Seriously, I regret ever having anything done in the past. It was a really silly thing to do. And as I say, learn from my mistakes.
In 2004, whilst being treated in hospital, Leslie contracted MSSA, a hospital-acquired infection.
The surgeon had 2 hours to basically get this infection from going to my brain, and then that would have been it. So When something like that happens, when you're so lucky to survive, basically, it is life-changing. So I had to start again, learning to walk.
Your image was everything to you, I would say, because of your business and what you did.
My husband was a footballer, and we always knew that his career would come to an end. I just never imagined anything would stop me being an actress. I just always thought, I've picked a good one here. I can do it until I pop my clogs, you know, basically. It sort of surprised me how difficult and how brutal it was, really, that it just stopped.
Whoa.
I think it makes you tougher. Then you start to realise, actually, it's not all about you. But sometimes you just think, actually, just get on with it. You know, just go with it. I'm a 56-year-old disabled woman, getting on with my life, getting on with my career.
What's your core identity now? What would you say?
Mother, that's what I feel I've really done well at. I'm finding it difficult with the age process, I have to say.
Right.
It's not an easy thing to go through. My sons want me to grow old gracefully.
Okay, that's good.
Which I'm not very happy about, but I will. Image was so important when I was younger because you didn't know what was going to happen. You just go with the times. I mean, I never used to leave the house unless my hair was blow-dried, and now I sometimes just let it go natural, which is quite curly, actually. I'm sort of, my mother had curly hair, and I'm sort of like turning into my mother. I was very close to my mum. My mum passed away in 2000. You know, you just have this feeling of they're passing the baton on to you. You have to carry on and do your best for your kids.
Yeah. Using the time spent sketching Leslie, I've painted her a portrait of the way I see her.
Wow. Adebanji, how long did it take for that finished painting?
Oh, by maybe close to like 16 hours.
Really?
And I mean, not everything was finished live, but yeah, I had to do some after, but boy, oh boy, a lot in that face.
OK, well, you've been going 20 minutes or so on Jeremy here.
Has he got a good face to sketch?
Brilliant face. Out of this world. I think that's the face I look for.
We're talking about sketch, not caricature here, aren't
No.
we?
Yes.
This is the sketch, this is a face. The first thing is your nose.
Oh, I spent all my life being told I've got a huge hooter.
Yeah, so... But I tell you what, there's those little intricacies on your face. I love them. Yeah, so...
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what you've done with them.
Shortly.
Pardon?
We will have a look shortly.
OK.
Adebanji, though, normally sketches a lot on public transport, doesn't he? People on the train.
Yeah.
What do you look for, then, in a good face?
It's the light and shade, the texture, beauty, wrinkles. It could just be the mood people are in. I think most Londoners are not happy going to work, so they create a good feeling to sketch, yeah.
And that first one that we just saw there, that is you, isn't it, in a winter hat?
Yeah, that was me in a winter hat. When I don't have anyone to sketch, I look at a reflection of myself on the window of a train in the winter at night like this, and I have to sketch myself. It's just addictive. I love sketching, and I have to do it, yeah.
And we were talking earlier on that you don't use an eraser at all, do you?
No, it plays on your brain, so just go straight for pen or something that you can't erase, so your brain begins to learn how to get used to not making mistakes. We're unique, we're wonderful as human beings, so, yeah.
Well, I think we should reveal your work to Jeremy, if you're ready.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready, ready.
Just 20 minutes, just 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, that was very quick.
There you go.
I think it's lovely.
I'll tell you what, isn't that wonderful? Adebanji.
Well, it's recognisable.
It's definitely you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Adebanji. Thank you. Now, from reading Jeremy's book, we know he struggled to find a club to join whilst at Cambridge. But if he had a head for heights, he might have wanted to try the ultimate university challenge.
Hey. Good one. Anyway, Ewan Thomas has discovered the night climbers, or as we like to call it, posh parkour.
I'm on the trail of a secret society, one that was set up over 80 years ago here amongst the hallowed halls of Cambridge University. But they weren't an underground organisation. They operated on a far higher plane, under the cover of darkness. They were called the Night Climbers of Cambridge. Their shadowy aim was to scale the buildings and walk the rooftops of Cambridge in celestial splendour, inspired by a little-known book. Someone who knows this book intimately is Dr. Bradley Garrett, an academic and writer on urban exploration.
This book is The Night Climbers of Cambridge. It was published in 1937. It's a collection of photographs and stories from about 24 night climbers over the course of many years.
This phenomenon began because some students liked to go to the pub, but the college locked the gates at 10 o'clock. So, with nothing to do, they discovered the buildings of Cambridge had plenty of natural footholds.
People would scale these walls just to not get in trouble.
Absolutely.
That looks very worn down to me. That would be from people's feet.
That's precisely what that's from. I mean, you'd use the fence, right? And then all of that you can see going up all the way to the top would be essentially damage from night climbing. But by scaling the walls out of utility, they suddenly get interested in what else they could possibly climb.
The night climbers wore no special clothing, apart from maybe the odd tweed jacket and silk scarf. They usually climbed without ropes and wouldn't balk at scaling the near 100-foot-high King's College or leaping through mid-air.
So this is one of the most dangerous climbs in Cambridge, going up the drain pipe of King's College, over Senate House Passage, and then when you get to the top of this drain pipe, jumping across the gap there that's called the Senate House Leap.
That's a good 6-foot gap.
Yeah. If they fell, I mean, you'd definitely break your legs, you might die.
The plucky night climbers liked to let people know about their exploits and left what they referred to as litter in full view. Santa hats, toilet seats, underwear, and in 1958, this.
They were engineering students, so they basically constructed this winch, and they winched the van up onto the roof, and they left it there, and everyone woke up in the morning, and there was a van on top of Senate House.
The night climbers are still conquering the summits of Cambridge even today. The Times journalist Tom Whipple used to be one of them.
Tom, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Hi.
Just for the one show, he's going to demonstrate a climb at the University of London's Royal Holloway College. Cambridge didn't want to play.
I've got to ask, how on earth did you get into night climbing?
I got given the book by my dad. You're 18, you're at university, who wouldn't want to be part of that?
Today, Tom's best friend is this guide rope. Yes, folks, in the interest of safety and the avoidance of a lawsuit, Tom will be attached to this line at all times. And yes, I know it's supposed to be at night, but that's health and safety for you.
How you feeling, all right?
Yeah, I think so. Should be good fun.
Fun? Well, have a good one.
Cheers.
You don't mind me talking to you, should I not leave you to concentrate?
No, it's okay.
What's the weather like up there?
It's lovely. What do you want me to do now?
Clean the windows. Hello.
Hello.
I'm just reading up on what you crazy lot do. You look just like him.
He's got a drain pipe, that's easy.
Right, I'll use the stairs. I'll see you at the top.
Many of the night climbers became proper explorers, 4 of whom went on to summit Everest. But there is a different legacy to these posh pranks, and it doesn't require the wearing of tweeds. Our modern urban explorers and death-defying roof-toppers can all trace their lineage back to the night climbers of Cambridge.
Come on, Tom. Nearly there. He's taking ages. Oh,
Hi.
mate, well done.
Cheers.
I brought a lovely one-show flag.
There we go, it's conquered.
So the question is then, Jeremy, did you ever find yourself climbing the walls of any building at Cambridge?
I used to climb a little bit, but I never did that sort of stuff. I remember the furthest I got, I think, actually was climbing in after the gates had been locked.
Dirty stop out.
You know, a locker room interloper.
Hey, it's all been revealed tonight, and Life in Questions is out now. Jeremy, thanks for your company
Yes,
tonight.
thank you so much.
for inviting me.
It's been great. It's lovely. Thank you.
Tomorrow we'll be joined by Jasper Carrot and Alistair McGowan. We'll see you then.
Do you want that sketch?
You can have it.
Oh, thank you very much.
Our pleasure. Good night. See you.